welcome back to our channel. Today's video is going to be all about the pros and cons of a hospital birth and a home birth, because I have now had experience with both of those. So I'm just going to tell you guys my experiences on it. So these are my personal pros and cons. I do want to put a disclaimer here that I am not a medical professional in any way, so do not take my advice or take this video as medical advice, because it is not. Make your own choices with your own medical professional, but this was my experience in a hospital setting and a home birth setting, so that's all I'm going off of right now. And I'm just hoping that this can give some information to someone who is kind of thinking about maybe doing a home birth, or maybe I should stick with a hospital birth, and this could kind of give those people some more information on what they should do. But again, this should not be like your final 100% decision making tool, because again, not a medical professional. So just want to put that out there, but these are my personal pros and cons to each. So I wrote everything down on my phone, so if you guys see me looking down or like picking up my phone, I'm looking at the list that I made, so that's why I'm going to be doing that. But the first thing that I wrote down is that for a home birth, you are in the comfort of your own home, so you don't have to worry about forgetting anything in like your hospital bag that you're packing, and you already have like your cozy, relaxing space. It's very homey, so it's like stress-free, and it's just less stressful. And that could actually cause your labor to speed up, because you're in an environment that you are comfortable with, so you're not stressed out, and that could help speed up the labor. Whereas in a hospital, you are in a hospital room, so most people, when you're in that room, you get that feeling of like you're in a hospital, this is like a medical procedure, and automatically it stresses you out and you get anxiety. And like nurses coming in and doing their thing can also cause stress and anxiety. So being in like a hospital room versus your own room or your own like home space can definitely put a huge difference on your labor. If hospital rooms stress you out and your house gives you like a stress-free environment, those can definitely make labor very, very different in each, because a hospital one, if you're stressed out, it can definitely slow down your labor. Also, at a home birth, you can labor how you want to, meaning you're not stuck to an IV, you're not stuck to wires, you're not being monitored all the time. So you can walk around, you can move, you can change positions, you don't have to stay in the same spot all the time. And when you're in a hospital, you're most likely going to be attached to wires and machines, an IV. You're probably going to have fetal monitoring, and so that really limits where you can move and how you can labor. Most of the time you end up in the hospital bed the whole time laboring, and you can't really change positions. So that will end up making your labor harder, because you can't move and you can't manage your pain by moving positions. And that leads a lot of people to end up getting that epidural, because they just can't handle the pain anymore. But that's because you can't do anything about it. You can't move the way you want to, the way you're supposed to. Again, that's just my opinion, but definitely a big difference when you're at home, because you could just move around freely, do whatever you want, do whatever feels comfortable. Especially during a contraction, you want to get in the best position for that contraction, and it's definitely not laying on your back in a hospital bed. Also, when you're in the comfort of your own home, you can still eat. Obviously, I'm not saying to go eat a big meal while you're at home laboring, and like for me in my instance, I wasn't even thinking about eating once I got to a certain point. Like I ate my meals in the morning, and then I had like a lunch or something, but after that, once I was in like active labor, I was not thinking about eating at all, so I didn't even have to worry about that. But you can eat while you're home, like small meals or like energy bars or granola bars, something like that to get your energy up. At a hospital, you're limited to only ice chips most of the time, and that's because they want to be prepared for a C-section, because a C-section is surgery, and before surgery you can't eat. So that's why once you're in the hospital, they limit you and cut off any food, and you can only have ice chips. But while you're at home, that's different. So I really liked that, because when I labored at the hospital, it was 25 hours. So I went 25 hours without eating. That was horrible. So horrible. But yeah, that is another thing, another difference between hospital and home birth. This one is not really my personal experience because I've never had one, but the studies and the percentages and the statistics show that the risk of getting a C-section is way higher once you step foot into a hospital than it is if you're at home giving birth. Those numbers are like a crazy difference. I don't have them offhand right now, but you can definitely do your own research and look those up, or you could ask like a midwife or doula. I'm sure they would know, but those percentages are way different, the risk of you ending up getting a C-section at a hospital versus you ending up getting a C-section during a home birth. Another difference is that hospitals obviously have all of their hospital supplies already, and for home birth you have to buy your supplies. So that is a really big difference. Some people might not want to worry about buying like medical supplies and things like that, so the hospital obviously already has everything for you. But in my opinion, it's definitely worth it because of this next point that I'm going to go over, and that is that home birth is a lot cheaper than a hospital birth. Especially if your insurance covers home birth, you're going to pay a lot less for a home birth. And even with buying the medical supplies or the home birth supplies, you're still paying less. I kind of mentioned this one already before, but the hospital birth, you have nurses and doctors coming in and out of the room all night after having a baby. And when you have a home birth, you get to just like have your good night's rest, depending on your baby, obviously, because if they're waking up all through the night, you're still gonna get woken up. But at least it's your baby waking you up and not random people poking you and pushing on your stomach and asking you questions about how you feel. Obviously tired because you're not letting me sleep, right? But that is a big difference as well. I was able to get a really good night's rest, especially because my mom stayed the night with us, so that helped a lot. And I remember with Javi's birth in the hospital, I had like no sleep because either someone was coming in to check me or the baby was waking up, and then I would get the baby to sleep and then someone else would come in to check, and it was just too many people coming in. So that's another big difference. Okay, this is my last point. I'm sure there's some more, but I just couldn't think of any more, and these were like the ones that stood out to me the most. But this last one is definitely the biggest con of a home birth in my opinion, and it is that when you have a hospital birth, they send all of the information and paperwork for the birth certificate and social security to be like given to you. And when you have a home birth, you have to fill out all of that paperwork yourself and figure out like where to get the paperwork from, where to send the paperwork, what to do, and it's a lot of work. Now that I've done it, I'll be prepared for the future, but if it's your first time going through it, it is a lot of work and it was definitely stressful. So I would say that's the worst thing about a home birth, at least in my opinion, was just that you had to fill out all that paperwork. So that's pretty much it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions about either a hospital birth or home birth, please feel free to ask me either down in the comments, or you can always send me a message on Instagram, anything like that. I would be very happy to answer any of your questions. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll be back with more videos.